Dude, get your tongue. All right, I got it. What is going on, everyone? And welcome to Kart 6T3. My name is Ben. Thank you very much for stopping by real quick. If you didn't mind hitting a like on this video, possibly subscribe to the channel, that would be sweet for you and for me, I think. Pretty sure. Yeah, for both of us, I believe. Kart 6T3 is brought to you by these wonderful people. So check out the promos. Here you go.
Kart 6T3 is brought to you by Track Tack Tire Treatments, Burris Racing Tires, BeardOctane.com, 53 Titanium, JC Specialties, Product 41, and Shatter Karts.
Okay, here is another video for maybe your newer karters, possibly, well, everybody, I guess, coming in. Now, I know that when you buy a chassis, you're going to hear things about numbers. You're going to think, put this stagger on it, put these percents on it, your cross, your left, your nose, all those things. Absolutely. But when you're, I like to hypothesize. No, that's not the right word. I like to critically think about what is actually going on with the cart. And I believe this to be one of the things that you should consider. There are a series of levers going on while you're racing. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive down to the Shatter Blast, and I'm going to talk about what I mean by that and what you might consider when you're thinking about the handling of your cart. Okay, everyone, we are dove down here to the 2025, might as well be a 2026. It was, it's got one race on it. The Shatter Blast. So what am I talking about? What is this series of levers that I speak of? So for the basic premise, we will go with cross. So cross is always this percentage right here from your left rear to your right front. This is a lever. So when you enter the cart, or when you enter the corner, it has a tendency to, or not a tendency, what it does is when you lift or turn the wheel into the corner, the weight is coming from back here to here. A lever, you understand? The same thing happens from left to right. This is a lever. So you start to load the right side and rear to front. When you enter the corner, you go in, we'll pull my pin here. When you go into the corner and you crack the wheel, this concept, this left front spindle will dig into the ground. It'll put your left front tire into the ground. That causes pressure to happen over here. That in turn will make this lift and load the right front as well. Also, how much weight percentage you run and everything. Now, this series of levers that I'm speaking about can be controlled with a multitude of things. Everything you can think of, from stagger to camber and caster. Caster would be the switch that allows this is in my mind. People can argue with me about it, but it's the way the concept works for me. Caster would be the switch that makes camber work, if that makes any sense to you. But so the lever we'll go back to the cross factor. Okay, what is going to affect this? Not only how far down this spindle is, but the amount of camber that's in it controls this lever from happening. So say if you have your right front and you tip it down, that is going to make it quicken. The more you tip your right front up, that delays the reaction, as I'm moving with the camera, trying to explain this, that delays the reaction of this. The more you have your right front pinned on the ground, that quickens it. Also, we have talked a little bit before. We'll come up here and take a peek. I have this in the rear. This quickens how quickly it goes from the left rear to the right front. If you elongate this, if you move, even though it's a very short distance, just this a little bit, and obviously you can do the same on the other side to change your wheelbase. But when you lengthen this, it elongates that lever. So it affects the way how fast weight transfers. It's still with the lever. Now, there's other things like, I mentioned stagger, but also effects on that are sidewall heights. We all pretty much standard. It is a standard. You're going to run 10-inch rims on the right side and 8.5. You can play around with this. It's a 6.5 on the left front. But sidewalls and how much, say, a Burris 33, for instance, has a softer sidewall, that also affects the lever. So if you're making an adjustment on something, you're going from, say, a Maxxis race to a Burris race, it might be a minuscule type of feeling, but it is a feeling. The more that sidewall absorbs of that lever that I'm talking about, makes a difference. So, if you're going from Maxxis racing to Burris racing, the same adjustment might not work as well between the two brand of tires. Now, it's very confusing. That's why, I like to say that, they're just karts. They just, put these numbers on it and then turn left. We just run on dirt ovals. It's not that hard. Turn left. It is. It's a very simple design to a complex race. It's a kart is very simply designed, but it has complex concepts to it. And I believe that the lever action between, transferring weight has an exceptional amount to do with it. I'll mention here that lateral grip is a thing. So lateral grip would be just try and shove your kart sideways. That is true, and that is going to be tire grip. But how much it does that is affected by the concept of the lever system that your VCG, how high. There's another thing: how high you're riding the rear of your seat, how high you're sitting up, is going to affect how much weight transfers on the chassis like a lever. So it just, I thought it was a real cool concept, and maybe I could, get it into some of your heads that what is actually happening? What is actually happening when I'm adjusting my cambers? What is happening when I adjust casters? When I move my seat from left to right or right to left? What happens when I change staggers? This all affects the lever system that is your chassis. Just a thought that I had written down, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to try and explain to it. Maybe some people understand it, maybe some people don't. Maybe some people disagree with what I'm saying, but I don't think I'm that far off. I think that, maybe with the caster being the switch, but that's the way I've always understood it. The more you would tilt your caster front or back will affect at what rate this climbs the hill or doesn't climb the hill. It also, a caster, you think of the shopping cart, if you tip, or say a chopper, a motorcycle, the more you tip it here, it's going to be stable at high speed. The more it's forward, like a shopping cart, it wants to wobble. That affects, turn and everything. Well, that caster does have an effect on how much pressure is contained here or contained here, and the lever system that will either work from left front to right rear, or cross, which is left rear to right front. Just a concept. I had this in the back of my head. I wanted to kind of get it on film to try and explain and try and theorize what is actually going on when you put these percentages on, when you make adjustments. What are you affecting? I believe you are affecting the transfer rate, aka the lever of a go-kart. So let's go back up top, and I'll give you an outro. Okay, did you get where I was going with that? I think I know that that the base premise of a kart can be very simple. We don't have suspension, we have tires, and basically a solid frame that doesn't move. So I just thought that this concept might lend itself to, why does this happen? I bought a chassis from, Shatter. I bought a chassis from Phantom, Charger, Premier, Ultramax, whoever it is. These are the numbers that they give me. Now, when they tell me these numbers, why do these things work? Why do these percentages work? Well, if you think in the concept of a lever system and how the chassis is behaving, it makes a little more sense to me. When you go off into a corner, when it jumps from left rear to the right front, what is it that either helps that lever happen or restricts that lever from happening? I think that, if you look further, if you really want to understand how a chassis behaves, why it behaves and stuff, you have to kind of break it down. That's it may be a simplistic way of looking at things, or maybe it's not a simplistic way. Maybe it's a more complex version of, instead of just looking at, put these numbers on it and run it, wipe your tires. That's a lot of people do believe that, but I believe that if you start to break down why a kart works the way it does, you have a better understanding of what adjustments you can make in the future to make your setup even faster. But that's just the way my mind works. And sometimes I get these ideas, I write them down in my notes on my phone for video ideas, and I'm like, you know what? This one is something that I do go to. If it doesn't seem like it's getting on the nose quick enough, it doesn't seem like it's doing this and that. I know that your side bite is a thing, but that plays into it. The lateral grip of the tires, this is a thing as well. But the lever or series of levers that you are making happen with the chassis affect the lateral grip. They affect the tires. They affect the heat that builds up in whatever tires, and when they come in, when they don't come in, all those things. It is just it's a simplistic concept, but it makes sense to me, so I thought I'd bring it to your guys' attention. So anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I got a bunch of these kind of theoretical type of scenarios that I plan to shoot for this winter. Like I said, I'm starting to see my breath, and it gets I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to hold out here in the cold. I have yet to go to the gloves, but that very well might come by. But again, thank you all so much for the support. It's overwhelming to me sometimes that you guys, reference these videos. Some of you, tell me in the comments or send me messages that you watch my videos, that you catch every one. It is extremely humbling, and I want to make an effort myself to thank you for every comment, every kudos, and everything you guys do for me. So thank you very much. We'll catch you again in the next video. Later.